Good morning. Happy Saturday. Happy Memorial Day weekend, you know, in 2014s. Kind of like George Bush and the internets, you know, whatever. It's kind of early. I just crawled out of bed, you know, like a little bit ago, and probably still got that bed face. Yeah, looks like it to me. So anyway, as the title says, the perfect guitar. Is this a mythical creature that does not exist, or does it? To start off, you have to, it's kind of, you can't really, how do you refute that something special, even magical, happens when you take a Gibson guitar and you plug it into a Marshall amp? You know, I mean, it's been happening, you know, Zeppelin, the Allman Brothers, Slash, you know, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the now, you know, anything, you know, big and epic, and, you know, you're going to see a wall of Marshall amps behind them in most cases, with very few. You know, Engel makes some really nice stuff, but you don't see, you know, these big iconic, you know, people that are known for their tone to have a wall of Engels behind them. I'm sure somebody does. But you always see that Marshall amp. You know, Eddie Van Halen back in the day when he had his real sound, it was, you know, from a Marshall amp. So, if I were, you know, God, and I'm gonna make this guitar, I'm gonna take pieces of every, like what I like about best from every, you know, guitar and make one. And I would start off with, like with Gibson, they have such a big epic tone when you just plug in, nothing, no pedals, just whether it's an SG, Les Paul, you know, it just has that big fat Gibson sound, bam. Now what I don't like about them are a lot of things, so but I love the sound of, say, you know, a Gibson Les Paul standard, you know, just we'll take that sound, big pickup sound. But you know, the big fat neck and the big fat, you know, butt on it that you're always like trying to, you know, get comfortable when you sit down and play, it's just not for me. So, but I would take the sound, you know. Then you look at, like, say, a Strat style body, you know, whether it's, you know, there's so many of them, the Ibanez RGs, a Fender Strat, whatever, to sit down, it's very comfortable to play. But I never got that big fat Gibson sound out of a Fender Strat. It's just not there. And you know, some of their necks are, you know, they're like the Les Pauls. They're difficult for me to really fall in love with. I played some nice ones, no doubt, but it's just always something. So I like this about this guitar, I like this about that guitar. And like, say, with the Ibanez, the high end, like, I've had a few gems, probably 10 RG 550s over the years, probably a bunch of Prestiges. That wizard neck is really cool for that flat radius. It works for me. But like with the gems, it's a little too wide across the fretboard, so it just wasn't perfect. You know, each guitar I was like, ooh. And then the Ibanez, as much as the comfort factor of, you know, sitting down and playing with it, the flat radius necks, you know, they were very close, but their tone to me just fell way short. You know, they weren't tone machines. They, you know, just, but the playability was awesome. So it was always you're sacrificing something, you know, to, oh, I love this guitar, but it doesn't have the big sound, and you know, it's always going round and round. So and I've pretty much written Gibsons off, even though I've tried several times to make myself like them. I think, so, I mean, it's my opinion. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of people that are like, hey, you, and blah, 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 you know, Gibson fanboys, whatever. I think they've run themselves into the dirt. They do make some really beautiful guitars, but then a lot of them, like, there's a 5-star Gibson dealer like 10 minutes from my house, and I have to go there all the time, go in there and peek. And if you look around, like, the nut work, and, you know, it's hacked up, and, you know, a lot of the stuff they're putting out is like, really, you're living off your name, you know, because if you look at, like, say, the Japanese, like a high-end, a real ESP, you know, where the Gibson logo is kind of hacked up and around the fretwork and some of around the nut is kind of sketchy. You know, those guitars, the Japanese, are not going to let something out of that shop that is anything less than perfect, you know, in most cases. You know, I'm sure there's something sneaks by, but for the most part, those gems, the real gems, you know, and the high-end ESP stuff, it's, you know, man, you know, what can you say? But in an American guitar, you know, it just, so whatever. Anyway, I digress. So there's things I like about a bunch of different guitars. Then a couple weeks, and I've gone through guitars, you know, much to the amusement of everybody around me. Like, girls go through lipstick, you know, I'll play it, I'll like it for 10 minutes, and then I'm like, nope, and it's on Craigslist or eBay, and I'm getting rid of it. This is garbage, you know. And Strats, Les Pauls, you know, I've just ran through them all. And a couple weeks ago, I was in a store, and I saw because I'm a huge Dream Theater fan, and I saw the Music Man John Petrucci series, and I was like, you know, let me check it out. It was the Black Onyx. It was the 11. It was a family reserve, and the minute I played it, I thought, oh my God, it had some weight to it, you know, that you knew you were holding a quality piece. It wasn't just some plywood, you know. It had, but it wasn't too heavy, but it wasn't too light. It just felt like you were holding some quality. And then the neck has the radius that I like, but it's not too wide like the Gem, and it's not too fat like the Les Pauls, you know. So this neck, I was like, had these stainless steel frets that I really wasn't used to, but I was like, wow, I really like the feel of this neck. It was the perfect neck. It wasn't too thin, it wasn't too fat. The radius was perfect. The frets weren't too big, they weren't too little. It was just, I thought, wow, are you kidding me right now? It was effortless to play. It played itself. And then, but, you know, of course, you know, what am I going to sacrifice? This is such a great neck, and it has the kind of pseudo Strat body that's very comfortable, and the cutaways, it just forms right to you. Your arm on it, which I'll show you in a minute because I'm holding one, but you know, it felt so perfect, you know, and the neck, it just played so perfect. So I thought, you know, but as soon as I plug it in, and then I don't know about this piezo system. Is it really going to sound like an acoustic? I played a couple Ibanez guitars that had them on it, and it just really fell short. I wasn't feeling it. So, you know, I plugged it in, and I was like, are you kidding me? It had that huge, big Les Paul sound. It wasn't heavy like Les Paul, but, you know, it had the big tone coming out of it. And the perfect neck, the perfect weight, everything about this guitar was absolute. I couldn't say enough about it. I was like, oh my God. And so pack it up. We're going home. You know, this is it. And I have not, you know, I go to work. I work from 8 till, you know, whatever. I get up at 5 just so I can, you know, play before, you know, I have to go to work. I can't, when I'm not playing it, that's all I do is think about, I can't wait to get home and play it. You know, it's such an awesome guitar. And so that's what I wanted to share with you today was, you know, just some thoughts. If, you know, it's in the same price point, you know, as a lot of the other high-end guitars. It's made here in America, you know, so, you know, how do you argue with that, you know? It's really guitar worth looking into. And you don't have to be a Dream Theater fan to dig this guitar. It's not like, you know, I've said that about the Gems. You know, it's got the monkey grip on it. It might shy some people off, you know, from like, it's a little too crazy looking, you know. This guitar, it doesn't matter if you're doing, you know, if jazz or blues or, you know, because they have different finishes. This one that I'm holding right now happens to be the wood top, you know, whatever. It's Ball Family Reserve. You know, this guitar and the piezo systems, oh my God, sounds so good. And you know, I do run. You know, I am a member of the Church of Marshall, so I do run into a blues breaker. And then for the piezo system, I run into a Marshall acoustic AS80R. So that's what I'm running. I use line 6, you know, for the effects, not the amp modeling. But so this guitar, dude, it's the Music Man. I don't know, because the glare of the window, whatever. We're just kind of shooting the shit today. So anyway, I would highly recommend, you know, just check it out, plug it in, and see for yourself, man. Because, you know, you don't have to be, I have to play metal, you know. No, you don't have to be a metalhead. You don't have to be anything. You're just a musician, a guitar player, checking out a very cool guitar. So anyway, thank you for taking these, whatever, how long ever I've been rambling, 10 minutes, 11 minutes. Thank you for checking it out. Whatever brought you here. If you dig it, watch some of my other videos, man. Please subscribe. Be easy.